Hello swordsage. This is just a video asking you a question based on a thread that's on my armory. You may have already seen it. Whether or not you're planning to respond to it, I have no idea. But I figured it's one that you would be interested in. The question is essentially this. It's saying, what would your one sword be? And here's the question. Here's the premise. If you could only have one sword, an original, that is an antique, an archaeological antique, or a reproduction, what sword would that be? Is it a sword that you already have? Or is it something that you would like to be made as a custom piece? It doesn't necessarily have to be a design that is existing. It could be potentially a conglomerate of different designs, and a few people have already expressed that they wish for their sword to be something like that. What would your sword be? Just one sword. Money is money, price, international boundaries, customs, or even the rights of temples. You could walk in anywhere in the world and take your one sword. What would that sword be? My personal opinion is that I would probably take the Japanese kusanagi. Not necessarily because I sort of like the style, that double-edged style, Chinese style, but it's merely because it is such a valuable sword with such a history. For those who don't realize, the kusanagi no tsurugi is part of Japan's three regalia treasures, essentially the equivalent of the Japanese equivalent of the British crown jewels. So the kusanagi no tsurugi is also said to be a weapon of the gods. So essentially, having the kusanagi would be pretty much having the Japanese equivalent of Thor's hammer, or Gungnir, which is the spear of Odin. That's how prestigious this weapon is. Failing that, I have the sword of Gojan, which is a weapon that was found in 1965, 2,000 years old, sitting in an underground cavern, completely untouched due to the tight fit on the scabbard. And I think the scabbard didn't even do that badly either. Those are my thoughts as to what my one sword would be. One of those two, whichever one I can get. I wonder what yours is. For those who watch this, post your own response. Maybe it's a fantasy sword, maybe it's something you saw in a game. Tell me, what's the one sword? If you can only have one sword in your entire life, and it has to be a sword, it can't be an axe. I'm not too sure whether or not daggers count in this case, but yeah, it has to be a sword. And a sword's defined as, well, it could be a dagger if you want, but it can't be an axe, or a spear, or a warhammer. Ranged weapons, definitely not. It has to be a melee weapon, at least, but definitely a sword. Swordsage, what do you think? Respond in the comment, respond in my comments, video response, or respond in my armory. I don't mind. I'm just curious to see what you think, because you're such a massive Chinese sword nut. Toodaloo.